So, what the heck does the Newtonian gravitational constant, big G, and 1 meter per second have to do with some crazy calculation I did, well, in the restricted section of the library? Well, we conjecture ahead.
Although this is going to be weird, and it's going to be about a different.
Title of the conference was something like "Ground Truth" or "Turtles All the Way Down," and so it seems as though there's one Roolead. I don't think it rules them all, and it might be just hyper Ruleal turtles all the way down.
Yes, it's on the back of an infinite number of hyper-Ruleal turtles.
Various people are commenting on the outrage of hacking the universe on a MacBook Air.
Hey guys, what's going on? Memes here. All right. I am such a terrible YouTuber that the restricted section I'm talking about, I forgot the link in the doobly-doo below along with the full. I scheduled the thing, and then while checking my own work and breaking it up, I realized, oh my God, I think I made a fatal error. I went back and double-checked it. It was actually shorted. I'll explain my error because if it confused me, and I'm still confused over the result, what the heck am I supposed to have other people think? So when I use that quote from Harry Potter, which, as we all know, comes from when a young Tom Riddle was talking to Professor Slughorn, I believe. And he's like, I came across, last night I was in the library, in the restricted section, and I came across a piece of rather odd magic. Yada, yada, spoilers. That's how we learned about the Horcruxes and stuff. So what am I talking about restricted section as far as it comes to science or anything? Well, I'm talking about a website where you can upload it for free. Basically, pretty much whatever you want. And it's a preprint and stuff. So this is from ResearchGate. They send me stuff all the time. Are you the dude that... No, it's not my work. I'm sure that would not entice anybody to take advantage of the system and say they did things that weren't theirs. But this is from... I'm going to butcher your name. I apologize. Albadul Rahman Sheikh Nema. And this was, from last October. All right, so long story short, they proposed quantum nexus theory, and they're looking basically in terms of the Hubble parameter, which is a very smart thing to do. Why? Because we have different measurements. You might not agree with them. We know there is error in everything, and that's why I like Professor Keating, because while sitting in on one of his Zoom graduate level courses, I realized, yes, there is a reason why he's the distinguished chancellor's professor of physics. It was a graduate level class. I barely understood a dang thing. I'm like, okay, I can see the speed of light there. I've learned a little bit since then. But long story short, he goes into a very interesting calculation, and it's over here. So we look at it. What does he do? All right. This is very interesting. I haven't seen this anywhere else. Maybe there are a couple other things. Maybe Unzicker talked about the other day, and I just skimmed over it. Shout out to Professor Unzicker. But, all right. So big G, the derivation here, what do they take? V of H. That's the Hubble volume. What's that? The large-scale parameter. It's basically the horizon, as we can see. I'm sure I'm getting that wrong. I apologize. But basically, you're taking a fixed volume that we believe encompasses a lot. We're taking the mass term of that, which is a lot. And then, this is interesting. You're taking the Hubble time and you're squaring it. Coincidentally, those of you that might be into physics and stuff, the dimensions of the Newtonian gravitational constant is length cubed, so a volume. And then you get the Hubble volume. And that's divided by a mass term. There's a mass term. And then it's considered a force. They like to say it's a force, gravitational warping of space-time. It can basically accelerate mass. So since you have a time squared term there, we're inducing acceleration. So we're taking it basically the Hubble time squared. Coincidentally, when you run that calculation, you get, I think that might actually be perfect agreement within the error bars. I know it's within the error bars. I'm pretty sure it's within the error, but basically, well agreement with Big G. That's almost creepy. I almost want to say overfitting, but they're using the Hubble parameter. That's a very interesting result. So that's not the result I'm here to talk about. I will add the link, or somebody remind me. I apologize again. Terrible YouTuber. Hey, awesome one. But the result we're looking for, and if you put this in here, I'm very lazy, so okay, we have the Hubble radius and we have the Hubble time. The mass, this might actually be the emitter. Irregardless, I'm a masshole. I put in the mass of the universe, so of course this is going to be off. But basically, normal gravitational constant is 6.67 times 10 to the negative 11. But I'm just showing that basically, yeah, it's a Newtonian gravitational coupling. It's of the same magnitude. It's pretty darn close. I'm assuming calculations are correct based upon the numbers they've used. Beautiful. Okay, so why am I talking about this, and why did I use that completely clickbait photo? Okay. The reason is, within at least the model that we're working with, at least based upon what I've learned from that, I'm making some assumptions. Basically, we're taking the limits of dimensional measure and we're inverting them. What does that mean? Coincidentally, I learned from John Williamson, God rest his soul, that the inversion of a torus is a hypersphere. I looked it up. I found literature on it. Apparently, that's a thing. But, hey, Ariel, thank you for joining. But the interesting thing, basically, the conjecture is you're going to have some torus at a very small scale, we're assuming, basically on the magnitude about 10 to the negative 8. And basically, it's a torus, and we're taking that inversion and we're projecting it out to a hypersphere of maximal volume. Ultimately, that's the claim. That's the claim. That's the background that we're working with. Yes, a lot of assumptions there. Am I going to say that's the world we live in? No, we follow the evidence because that's science, my friends. Okay. So in order to explain the crazy thing I'm doing in the crazy equation that's in the bottom of the thumbnail, I have to set up some parameters about shorthand to calculate things without exploding people's heads with too many digits. Okay. So what I did is I take this exact same thing that they're doing here, except I'm going to use the Planck constants and assuming that it's an inversion. Okay. So for instance, if you take the Planck length and, okay. So the way I had to do it is because if you just do 1 over the Planck length, you'll get this. You'll basically get reciprocal units. So in order to cancel those units out, and we're assuming that's the magnitude, you basically need to add in the unit squared. So see, look, 6.87 times 10 to the 34. That's the magnitude we want, but it's reciprocal. So we got to do meters. Wolfram Alpha has been buggy with the units lately, and this was one of the things that you could get going. Okay, so it gives you that. Okay, so that's what we have here. Okay, so we're getting our volume element that we had there. We're assuming that's the maximal volume. To be fair, when you do the calculation for a hypersphere, you're going to get something very similar. It's usually like pi squared or something like that, the multiple of. And coincidentally, it depends on if you're taking more of a geometric or topological approach, which is very interesting. And I'm not discussion for another time. Okay, so we have our volume element. How do we get our mass element? Okay, this is the part that confused me. I had to delay the stream. Okay, because I looked at this and I'm like, I need a mass element. Why do I have meters squared and stuff in there? Because I was breaking this apart. Because when you run this calculation, it spits out a mass term. Coincidentally, I used the terms introduced by, I believe, Dr. Salvatore Pius, and I gained a lot more confidence after I saw Rick DeWitt use this for a calculation for basically mass of the observable universe and stuff like that. Okay, so citation, I'll give them both credit. Rick really firmed up my my belief in why that's probably right. But essentially, this is the magnitude you get. Basically, it's the inverse of the Planck length. You cancel out it, and then you just multiply it by the Planck mass. Basically, you get the same number, the magnitude, 10 to the 61 kilograms, or 8.33 times 10 to the 61 kilograms. Okay, ginormous amount of mass, about 8 times or 8 magnitudes above what we see, or at least what we see in the observable universe. Okay, so now we need the time term. To get the time term, again, we're doing 1 over the Planck time to get the inverse, and we want to take that magnitude. So to take that magnitude, we do the same thing, because if we just do like 1 over the Planck time, we're going to get the Planck frequency. It's the number of intervals of Planck time within a unit of 1. Frequency, yeah, Planck frequency. Okay. But in order to get that out, we need to have seconds squared, because we need to cancel out that reciprocal magnitude and actually have it be something, because otherwise it wouldn't have a unit. So again, this is extreme shorthand. I apologize. Okay, so it gives us that, but remember, we need this, that's a squared time term, so we need to square that all. Okay. So now we have our time term. Okay, this is a time term here. Don't worry about all. That's why I like using the Planck units, and it still works on Wolfram Alpha even after the update for now. It's all right. I love you guys. I'm sure it's a big update. It's okay. Things break sometimes. I submitted a ticket. I think other folks did too. Or at least I commented on the thing. But okay, so we have big G. This was a calculation. So again, the original calculation that we had was from that paper there, gives us within about a magnitude. If I had the actual Hubble mass term in there, it should be approximately the Newtonian gravitational coupling. Okay. But when we put all these Planck terms in there, assuming some crazy inversion into a hypersphere that might be our reality, okay, what do we actually get? Here's what we start getting. Let's work through it. This first step, we take that volume term, the volumetric term there, okay, and then we divide it by the mass term. Okay. So big ginormous volume divided by big ginormous mass. So we get a specific volume. All right, 2.843 times 10 to the 42 meters specific volume. Okay, cool. Now we take it to another level. Now we add in a time term. This isn't squared yet. Why? Because we get this crazy thing that ends up being synthesis gas flow. Is that important? I'm sure. How? I don't know. But when we combine those other terms there, and we actually square it, here's the actual answer. The actual answer that we get when we go through to get the other individual, got the Newtonian gravitational coupling constant. We got this crazy term here. So we got a Newtonian gravitational coupling, but its magnitude is off by like 44 orders of magnitude. That's interesting. I just realized that right now. Okay, that topic for a different time. So, but the one thing that I did notice about this, I'm looking at them like, okay, I have no idea what this number means, but it looks to be of the inverse magnitude of a term that I did know. What term did I know? Well, let's go Planck force. Yes. Dr. Salvatore Pais' super force. Okay, the Planck force. What is that? That's the maximum expression of force, I believe. The Planck units are the boundaries. Well, what happens when we multiply it by that? Oh, what's this? We got 1 meter to the fourth divided by seconds to the fourth. Okay, so we get one quartic meter divided by. Okay, so we get a meter per second. All of that to the fourth power. Okay, I have no idea what to make of that. So what I do? All right, so I took it to the fourth root. Took the fourth root of it. What do you get? 1 meter per second. What does that even mean? I mean, to be fair, the thing that comes to my mind is kind of the Planck momentum, just because the Planck momentum is of the same magnitude right there, except it's like 6.52 or 25 or something like that. It's something that looks almost like pi, but it's not really pi or something like that. But it's of the same magnitude there, so you get this result, and it's like, oh, well, I don't. And again, we've chosen to use a particular set of units. We've set definitions. Now, once we set the definitions of those units and we're trying to find coherence, those definitions changed over time. Why? Because we got better measurements. And as we set these to higher and higher precision, then, well, our units, we want to have coherence so that they work, so that we can do science and build cool stuff. Because who doesn't like cool stuff? Well, I do like tasty stuff, and sometimes that can be warm and a wee bit hot, at least to an observer like me. But that's all we really got for there. Do I know what that means? Not at all. Did I find it interesting? Totally. We took this thing that generates basically the unit big G when you're taking the Hubble parameters. And then when we took the inverses of the Planck constants and we assumed them to be the actual magnitudes in the standard units, by basically just taking the standard unit and just squaring it so we cancel out the inverse and actually added a unit onto it, we got some crazy number that when you multiply by the Planck force gives you 1 speed to the fourth in the units, the meters and the seconds. So I just thought that was kind of cool. Hey, if somebody knows what that means, feel free to let me know, and or hey, do whatever you want. All I know is it's a crazy world. Let's make it interesting. Take care of yourselves, everybody. Peace out. Have a great night.